entrepreneurship. As you may be aware that as a developing country, India is flourishing with all the successes in the field of trade, business, and entrepreneurship. India has given birth to many outstanding leaders and constructed a strong leadership model that is being implemented and looked up to worldwide. In order to create prominent leaders, India put the emphasis in helping its residents navigate their potential in entrepreneurship since early stages. Moreover, with a strong investment in entrepreneurship, it is expected to play a big role in India's ambition to create a positive impact across multiple segments of the Indian economy. With the above reference, the Consulate General of India is organizing a webinar called Stand Up to Leadership, Navigating Your Potential in Entrepreneurship to inform young people how to detect their strength and achieve success in the field of entrepreneurship to become great leaders in the future. Everybody, now I would like to introduce the delegates from India participating in today's webinar. First of all, Dr. Mahesh Chandgiri, the Consulate General of India in Ho Chi Minh City. Then, please welcome the three main speakers for our event today. Professor Kumar Mohanty, Director of KYYT University. Mr. Prabhat Pani, Executive Director of Center for Innovation in Sustainable Development, SPJIMR SP Chan Institute of Management and Research. Finally, Mr. Pranab Pani, Managing Director, Telania Beyond Border Private Limited, and all the esteemed students participating in the webinar today. To begin with today's event, I would like to invite Dr. Mahesh Chandgiri, or a Consul of Consulate General of India in Ho Chi Minh City, to deliver a welcoming speech.
Done. Namaste, Xin Chao, and good afternoon to all of you. On behalf of Consulate General of India, I welcome you all on this webinar to be organized on Step Up to Leadership, Navigating Your Potential in Entrepreneurship. You know, entrepreneurship is a skill, that it is a special skill that makes entrepreneurs different from a common man, because all innovations, all discoveries have been come around because of this entrepreneurship skills. And this is a good opportunity now because India is a big leader in it. And you will enrich by the knowledge of our experts, Professor Mohanty and Mr. Pani. So they will give you the insight into the entrepreneurship skills in India. And you can visit India also. You can just connect with India, and you will be benefited. So I will just give this floor to Professor Mohanty. So he will just enrich your knowledge about this entrepreneurship skills in India, what we are going, where India is progressing now. So he will give you an insight into the entrepreneurship skills. The Professor Mohanty, you can take over.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I'm so sorry I had an issue
Next,
logging in.
I would like to invite Professor Kumar Mohanty, Director of KYYT University, to share about an entrepreneurial leadership mindset.
Thank you. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible, sir.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm so sorry I had a tough time logging in. And there was some issue on the Zoom link, so I had to join through the browser. And my apologies for joining in late. I must thank Dr. Madan and the entire team and all my co-panelists today for this wonderful opportunity. when we talk about leadership and how do we navigate one's potential in the entrepreneurial ecosystem. I think it's a lovely topic to talk on. Good afternoon, students. If you are all there, in India, of course, it's about 1:10 p.m. right now, and it's always wonderful to talk to all of you. I'll quickly give you my background because I come with a mix of both industry and academics. So I worked in different industries for almost about 15 years, from being a regional head to a national head, and then joined academia. I represent a university which is amongst the top 15 universities in the country, and it has been an institute of eminence in India.
Excuse me,
And
sir. Excuse me, sir. Can you turn on the volume? Because we cannot hear you very clearly.
I'm sorry, you said, can I turn on the?
Uh, we still cannot hear from you.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, not very clear, sir.
Let me just switch off. Let me just switch off the fan and let me get it closer to. Let me get my MacBook closer. Is it okay now? Can you hear me now? Am I audible right now?
Yeah, can you adjust the volume?
The-
I can hear Dr. Mahathi very clearly.
Can you say something now?
Now, though, just give me a minute. Uh, is-
Dr. Mahathi, you are clearly audible to the
Let me just.
speakers at least. I think the host have to check their system.
Um, Let me then, because she's been saying that she's not able to hear me properly. Let me see if I can put on. Um,
Yes, sir, from the side. I think that we can hear you very clearly right now, so you can continue your talk.
okay, you can hear me. You can hear me right now better.
Yeah, maybe just because the connection was not really good.
Okay, so
Yeah, thank
okay,
you.
so let me then just quickly reintroduce myself. My name is Dr. Kumar Mohanty, and I happen to be the Director, Corporate Relations and Industry Engagement for one of India's youngest universities, which is also in the world rankings today. I have a mix of both industry and academics experience behind me. And I also, incidentally, happen to be heading the entrepreneurship cell of this university, which has a lot of students who, who basically are budding entrepreneurs out here. Now, to set the context, when we talk about an entrepreneur today, gone are the days when when people would say, if you become an entrepreneur, that is the last resort that you look up to. Today, I think in India, the world over, the best of best entrepreneurs are those who have succeeded by taking risks, those who have succeeded with a vision, and those who've shown to the world that you need not necessarily be in business for a long time to be successful. They become successful almost overnight. It all boils down to three things, if I were to say: interest, attitude, and aptitude. If I think I want to become an entrepreneur, I need to have an interest. I need to believe that, yes, I can become an entrepreneur. I need to have the attitude, I need to have a positive attitude that yes, I can. I will take risks and I will succeed. And the third is the aptitude, which basically talks about the fact that I need to believe in myself, I need to believe in what I'm trying to do, and I need to believe that I can succeed. The combination of all these three things is what makes a successful entrepreneur today. I represent a university which is founded by somebody who started with a very meager 5,000 Indian rupees in his hand. Somebody who grew in abject poverty, somebody who lost his father at the age of 5, and his mother had to bring up about 5 to 6 siblings in very abject poverty conditions. Here was a man who believed that education is something that one needs to look at. Education is a means to eradicate poverty. And today, he has shown to the world that if you believe in yourself, if you have a vision, if you think you can, you will. Nothing will help you excepting believing in yourself. Boys and girls of the universities, my fellow panelists, and all present out here, I am talking about Dr. Achyuta Samanta. I will spell it out for the students who are listening to us out there in Vietnam. Achyuta Please to click on the profile, visit this person's profile and understand how somebody who did not come from a very rich background, somebody who just believed that I can, he had a vision, he had a purpose, and he was risk taking. And he was able to take risks and he was able to succeed.
Mr. Pranab Thani,
Yes, yes.
can you introduce something about yourself?
Oh, you want me to give
Yeah,
my presentation, my talk?
yeah. While we are waiting for like the fixing the problems, I think
All right.
great opportunity.
Yeah, I can. I'm sure. I thought my sequence was the last after Dr. Pravat Pani. Uh, I don't mind. I can also speak.
Pranab, I think she's suggesting that you introduce yourself while
Okay.
Dr. Kumar is getting ready.
All right. Thank you. Uh, Very good afternoon to everyone, and a big namaskar from India to the lovely people of Vietnam. It's a pleasure to get an opportunity to talk to all of you, particularly the young students, the bright young minds from Vietnam University. I'm Pranab Pani. I'm a resident of the city of Bangalore in India, the IT hub, the IT capital of India, and a garden city. I was in the corporate sector for about 25 years, working in different multinational companies across the world on different business domains. And after 25 years, I then became an entrepreneur in 2013. And I floated my first company called MTNC MediInfo Private Limited, which was into medical tourism. And we're doing pretty well, and it got sold out. It was acquired by investors in 2018. And I had to exit as the major shareholder and the managing director of that company. And after that, I floated my second company, the current one called Talent Beyond Border Private Limited, which is more into corporate consultancy. I've been a startup mentor, mentoring a lot of startups, not just in India, even in different parts of the world, in different countries, on different domains, different marketplace. And I also happen to be a corporate business strategist, business advisor to many private companies, the corporates, and also some of the top hospitals in India. And it's a pleasure, in fact, when not that I'm just trying to say something about myself, just a brief introduction since I have to go through the customary ritual. Uh, but it's a journey which taught me a lot. The persona of a person gets shaped through the paces of life. Because life, in my opinion, is the biggest teacher. I learned a lot, and that's why I'm sharing knowledge with the youth who are keeping me not just alive, keeping me youthful, because I'm learning a lot from them. Like today, I'm sure my co-panelists also would be grateful to all of you to learn from all of you when we have an interactive session at the end of the presentations. So I've been mentoring startups. I've been business strategies to corporate, and I also happen to be an author. I published my third book, which is become a bestseller called The Road Signs, which is an anthology of 22 essays, topics from various stream of life, and it's targeted to the again, the youth of the world, the students, the young entrepreneurs, the young corporate, executives. And this is how I think we will talk about it today. And I also happen to be a columnist writing in various national and international magazines, industry journals, and various periodicals and newspapers. That's about it, I would say, without wasting much of time. That's Pranab Pani for all of you again. Welcome all of you, and namaskar from India.
Thank you very much, Mr. Branagh. Well, I think now Dr. Kumar is ready to continue his speech. We will return to the Branagh introduction later. So please continue, Dr. Kumar.
Sure, thank you. I think, sorry for the glitch we had to, I think technology though has taken us a lot of places where at times we have this issue. So what we're going to talk about and what I have been assigned to talk about is ideally talking about developing an entrepreneurial leadership mindset. Now, when we say entrepreneurial leadership mindset, I will quickly rephrase what I talked about. When we talk about entrepreneurship, who is actually an entrepreneur? Why is he an entrepreneur? What are the challenges he has? What are the opportunities he has? And what exactly are the attributes that make him to stand out as a successful entrepreneur leader today? Can we go to the next slide, please? So when we talk about attributes of a successful entrepreneur leader, the first and foremost that we are trying to talk about is the person should be a visionary. He should think beyond. He should think not about what it is now, but what it is going to be, when through 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years down the line. He should envision something which he has thought of. He should envision how he should execute, and he should envision something which brings about a relevance to the product or the service that he is offering to the customers. Another attribute that is very, very important for a successful entrepreneur today is self-belief. He or she has to believe in himself or herself. When we talk about Bill Gates, when we talk about Mark Zuckerberg, all these people never completed their formal education at one go, but they believed in themselves that this is what we can do. And when we talk about self-belief, I was giving the example of the founder of the university that I work for, KIIT University in Bhubaneswar in India, is somebody who believed that I can, I will, and he did it. Just imagine 5,000 Indian rupees in his pocket, and in a very short span of 15 to 20 years, he has been able to create more than 24 to 25 different campuses with 30,000 students and again has created a home for another 30,000 tribal children, educating them free, giving them free boarding, is all because he had a vision. He had a self-belief that yes, I can. What is also important for a successful entrepreneurial leader is to be a good communicator. And when I'm saying a good communicator, we are talking about an entrepreneur, we're talking about a leader who is able to motivate and inspire people. Today, in this world, when we are seeing a lot of startups coming up, startups growing across and scaling across, we are also looking at people who live their plush jobs in most of the IT companies, consulting companies, product companies, and joining the startups. The reason? Better quality of life. Reason? Ability to create, ability to innovate, and obviously the ability to do something which one has had a vision to do. Most entrepreneurs, or rather, let me put it this way, you cannot be an entrepreneur if you're not risk taking. I need to say that, yes, I can. I will have risks coming my way. I'll have a lot of challenges coming my way. But so what? I will face challenges. I will take the risks in my stride. So essentially, I need to be risk taking. I should not be risk averse. Risk is something that is going to come, but I should be say, I will take the risk, I will take the opportunity. Even if I fail, I will fail to succeed. What is also important for an entrepreneur is just because I'm successful doesn't mean that I sit back and relax. I need to be somebody who has to have perseverance all throughout. The perseverance to excel, the perseverance to expand my business, the perseverance to reach out to maximum customers, the perseverance to think beyond just one product category or one service category. I need to be somebody with a lot of perseverance. What is also important, if I have to be a successful entrepreneur, is I need to be ethical. I need to have a high sense of ethics. I need to be honest. I need to be transparent. I need to be fair with not just my employees, but even with the customers. The reason being, it is the customers who are going to get me business. It is the customers who are going to make me successful or not successful. And when I say employees, they are also our internal customers. We need to be somebody who should have high ethical values if I have to be a successful entrepreneurial leader. Yet another attribute is I need to be a team player if I have to be a successful entrepreneurial leader. I have to be one amongst the team. I cannot act around, bossing around, saying that, I am a leader. You guys have to do what I have to tell you. No, I should lead with example. I should say, this is how we can do it. This is how we will do it. And let us all together do it. So I need to be a team player. I talked about customer centricity. So when we say customer centricity, my focus as a successful entrepreneur is how do I give the customer more return on investment? If the customer is paying me 100 rupees, he should believe that I am giving him a product or a service which is worth 150 rupees, if not more. I should have my focus on the customer's needs, wants, and try to create my products or services, innovate my products and services to help the customer's needs and wants be satisfied. If I have to be a successful entrepreneur, I need to cultivate creativity. I need to encourage my people to come up with innovative ideas. I need to get people to think and think beyond. And that is where I'm saying if I'm risk taking, I will take the wildest of wildest ideas also. But if I think there is a value in that idea, I will be somebody who will be encouraging my employees and my people in the organization that I have set up. Can we move to the next slide, please? I'm sure these two gentlemen is somebody whom all of you know. Mark Zuckerberg, there has been a film that has been made on him. And if you look at the movie, or if you've read about Mark Zuckerberg, here was somebody who started with the concept when during his college days and got this concept to build on, scale up, and today Meta or Facebook, as we know, is a household name. Here was somebody who dared to dream and thought of scaling up an operation which could could hit every other citizen of the globe. And the same with Bill Gates also. They thought about their dream, they pursued their dream when they were in college. They dropped out from the college careers to pursue their dreams because they were people who were there with a vision. They were people who were creative. They were people who believed in themselves and who believed that they can take the team along. I need not talk about Microsoft today, or I need not talk about Facebook or Meta today, because that is something that all of you know. But how this started was with a small idea, a small concept, with two entrepreneurs who believed in themselves, who believed in their ideas. And I was also giving in case the example of the founder of the university that I work for, that he believed in himself and brought the university to a level where it is today, globally known, where the tribal school is something that the world looks up to. Can we have the next slide, please? Now, when we talk about opportunities for an entrepreneurial leader, I'm talking about the fact that opportunities are galore for an entrepreneur. Opportunities are something that an entrepreneur has to think and choose and decide as to what it is that he has to look into. Because the biggest advantage of an entrepreneur is that he is somebody who will look at optimal utilization of resources for the maximum benefits that can happen. So, optimal utilization of resources requires proper planning, requires proper budgeting, requires proper execution, and also in the process, what we are looking at is an entrepreneur, when we say is looking at opportunities, is looking at gaps. Can I understand a need or a latent need which is there in the customer where my competitors have not gone, or there are no products and services which has catered to a particular need of the customer where there is a big gap existing? Can I fill that gap? Between existing products and resources also, can I look at creating a product which can cater to needs which my competitors or the other companies in the market have not gone in there? So understanding the gap, understanding the opportunity, understanding what product and services I have to fit in, and understanding that do I have the right set of people? What is also important is I need to choose the right person for the right job. So that becomes something as a big opportunity for an entrepreneur leader to believe, to excel, to expand, to have a budget and plan accordingly, which will give optimal utilization of resources, which will actually result in optimal utilization of resources, but with maximum financial benefits and maximum satisfaction of customers. And in today's world, the entrepreneur leader of today is somebody who can leverage technology. Gone are the days when technology was limited to a few. Today, technology has reached across and hit every other citizen of the globe. COVID, in particular, has taught us to leverage on technology even at homes also. Gone are the days when we believed of going to a bank to deposit money. Today, I think all financial transactions happens through an app, through the mobiles, through internet. So today, technology has become a part of everybody's life. So can I leverage technology to get in a product or services which are more suited for the customer? Can I leverage technology to simplify processes? Can I leverage technology to ensure that the customer gets something at the shortest possible time? Another opportunity for an entrepreneurial leader today is understanding the socio-demographic changes. Most of the developing countries of the world today are fast adapting to a new socio-demographic situation. When we talk about the socio-demographic changes, it is about understanding a uniformity in preferences across customers also. Today, even in the developing countries, people get to understand a brand. They tend to do an analysis of the brand before they buy. They look at different options available to them before they make a buying decision. So, understanding the socio-economic and the demographic changes. Do people have the propensity to buy? Do people have the ability to buy? What is the disposable income available for the customer? And in such cases, if the customer doesn't have the propensity to buy product X, Can I come up with product Y? Can I come up with product Y which is at lesser priced but gives the same benefits and services that is being offered by the other by my competitors? So how do I understand the socio-demographic changes to design, redesign, innovate, create a product and services becomes very important, and that is a big opportunity for the entrepreneurial leader today. Can we go on to the next slide, please? What are the challenges? While there are opportunities, there are challenges of the entrepreneurial leader also. The biggest challenge that the entrepreneurial leader has to think through is, first and foremost, while he has dreamt big, he has to also calculate failure. The risk of failure is also a challenge that every successful entrepreneurial leader today faces. I dream big, but I'm not able to achieve. What are the means that I need to look at to achieve the goal that I have set up to? What is it that I want to do? What is it that I need to sustain in order to be successful? So the risk of failure is something that is a big channel for the entrepreneurial leader. The entrepreneurial leader today also has a big responsibility towards the stakeholders. And when I say the stakeholders, it is not just the customers, but also to the employees. He has a big responsibility tomorrow. If there is a failure, he has to still ensure that his employees are in high spirits. He has to ensure that the financial benefits that the employee gets are not in any way affected. So the responsibility that he has is something that is a challenge for an entrepreneurial leader that he has to take upon. Selecting the right service or the product. Now, when I say selecting the right service or the right product, if there is a gap, if you go back to the previous slide, we said there is a gap analysis. He understands that there is a need for this particular product or this particular service in this particular socio or the demographic segments. Now, what I need to understand as an entrepreneur is, do I have the right product and the services which I'm offering? So my product offering, my service offering, if it is not right, there obviously will not be a demand, which will obviously mean that I have failed. So selecting the right product or services becomes a big challenge for the entrepreneurial leader before he actually plans to execute. Another challenge that the entrepreneurial leader might face today is managing and sustaining funds. When I'm saying sustaining funds, I might still have a lot of angel investors. I might have a lot of investors coming in to invest with me. But how do I sustain my cash flows? How do I sustain profitability? How do I sustain and plan for the future? That becomes a very big challenge to the entrepreneurial leader today. Yet another challenge is expanding business. We are saying that he has to be risk taking. He has to look at expanding business. Can we get the previous slide back, please? So when we talk about expanding business, understanding the right segment that I need to, understanding the right positioning of my product or services that I'm looking at is very important. What kind of business, what kind of market, what segments are we looking at is something that has to be calculated by an entrepreneur and particularly by the entrepreneurial leader today. Managing change, customers changes, customers preferences keep on changing, customers needs keep on changing. There is a micro environment and there's a macro environment. Political changes might happen tomorrow. There could be unforeseen circumstances. There could be floods, there could be drought, there could be any other things that can happen. So in such a situation, how do I manage change? Both managing micro and the macro environment is very important. I have just tried to, briefly put in a few points because I was assigned 15 minutes for my talk. And I think I had got it delayed also because we started late. I am open to questions at any point of time from any of the students. I wanted to touch upon these three areas in particular about the entrepreneurial leadership in the present ecosystem, the challenges, the opportunities, and the attributes of an entrepreneurial leader. Thank you so very much for having listened to me, and I hand it over back to the team to take it over.
Thank you, Professor Kumar Mohanty, very much for your useful speech and your vivid examples. Through your sharings, I have learned it that in order to become a successful entrepreneurship leader, a person must have the vision, believe in yourself, be creative, dare to take risks, and some other good characteristic. And I think not just the entrepreneur should embrace these characteristics, but people from other sectors, they should also adopt these features in order to be successful. Okay, so coming up is Mr. Prabhat Pani, Executive Director of Center for Innovation in Sustainable Development, SBGIMRSP, Chen Institute of Management and Research. And now he will give us a remark on key approaches to embrace leadership roles.
Namaskar. Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity. Given that we have been a bit late, I'll try wrapping up as quickly as I can. First, a quick bit about myself. I worked for 30 plus years in industry, in different kinds of businesses, fast-moving consumer goods, telecom, hospitality. Thereafter, I worked with the large philanthropic organization in India called Tata Trust. And currently, I'm with SPJIMR, one of the top 5 business schools in India, and with the Center for Innovation and Sustainable Development, which is a relatively new center that has been opened at the Institute. It tries to get multiple stakeholders together, whether it be NGOs, corporates, policymakers, academia, to find some of the solutions to some of the vexing questions that the world faces. The big challenges under the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, that's really the area that we work in. There is an added activity we do, which is to look at social sector entities, especially small and medium-sized non-governmental organizations or NGOs, and see how we can build capability within them to tackle the changes. I thought before I move on and focus upon the aspects of leadership, which is what I've been asked to talk about, and you'll see a huge amount of commonality with what Dr. Kumar shared in terms of the entrepreneurial mindset, I thought I should just mention that one of the areas that my institute, SPJIMR, is focusing upon now is actually to promote entrepreneurship. We've just formally launched a program called Entrepreneur in Residence, which actually allows a student passing out after completion of the 2-year MBA to opt out of placement and actually to become an entrepreneur. For a period of 2 years, they are allowed to stay on in the campus, have access to the faculty and 2 other accelerators that we have, one in the fintech space, the other in the family managed business space. During that period, they would also be given a sufficient stipend to take care of their living and other expenses. At the end of 2 years, if for whatever be the reason, the entrepreneurial venture does not take off, the student has the right to go back and seek a job through the placement process. This is something interesting. And the idea is, rather than have people looking for jobs, we should actually be having people who create jobs going forward. Okay, so let me quickly move to sharing my screen. Just doing a quick check if it's visible. Okay, so I think this is what we'll cover. Look at some leadership concepts, learnings from iconic leaders, and answer the question, can leadership skills be acquired? And as I said, the first part has been made easy by Dr. Kumar. But let's understand who is a leader. A leader is one who sees more than what others see, who sees farther than what others see, and who sees before others see. This is by Leroy Imes. So obviously, when you look at leadership characteristics, there are multiple of them. but I have chosen 12 of them, which I think is the most important. And I'll quickly go over them, and you'll realize that there is a whole host of them which are fairly common with the ones which have been mentioned in terms of the entrepreneurial characteristics by Dr. Kumar. So adaptability, maybe he didn't specifically talk about that, which is being able to adjust to new conditions, collaboration, confidence, courage, creativity and innovation, and effective communication, ethics, all of which were mentioned by him. An important one is empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. Focus, integrity, learning agility. This is a key one. There has to be a willingness to learn from experiences and apply those learnings to new situations, because the situations will not remain constant all the while. And the last, of course, is risk-taking. I also want to talk about two different kinds of leadership, which I think are extremely important. They've been important all along, but I would say even more so now. One is what is called transformational leadership, where both the leader and those who are led, the followers, raise each other to actually a higher level of purpose. And therefore, the end performance is well beyond expectations. And what this really requires is that the leader have a clear vision, articulate that, challenge the assumptions of the followers to do things differently and to do different things. Pay attention to the needs of each of the followers so that they also participate in the process and don't look at something which is being driven top down by only the leader. And of course, there needs to be mutual trust and admiration. The other concept I'd like to talk about is authentic leadership, which is all about how a leader is able to inspire loyalty and trust by consistently displaying who he or she really is and how he or she feels about her team members' performance. This again clearly requires clear definition of goals, a clear articulation of values, and to stay consistent all along. Now, what I thought I would do is actually to pick up two completely different kinds of iconic leaders. I'm going to be picking up some who have actually been icons, being nationalist leaders, and I picked up two who are icons in the business and industry. And you'll realize that in both these categories, what we're referring to as entrepreneurship is still continues to be a fairly key element. So the first iconic leader I picked up is Mahatma Gandhi, who led the effort to secure independence of India. He's referred to as the father of the Indian nation. He developed a very interesting methodology of what is called satyagraha, which is truth force. And while he learned the basics of this in South Africa, he actually used it in India for a period of nearly 30 years. And this, many people say, was actually a masterstroke, because non-violent truth force and fighting back the restrictions which were placed by the colonizer had never been fought earlier in this fashion. In this sense, he was clearly a transformational leader. And if you look at what C.K. Prahlad, who's a top academic on corporate strategy, talks about Gandhi, he says that this is what exemplified Gandhi in terms of being a role model leader. Self-awareness, innovation, a moral component of leadership, a clear relationship to the people, great symbolism and communication, and this was seen as selfless. It was not being done to push his own case. For those who are unaware, Gandhi very clearly could have been the leader of the nation, former leader of the nation, when India attained independence in 1947. But he chose to stay out of the political limelight. There was a different prime minister, And even 3 years later, of course, he was no longer there, but he had very clearly said that he had no aspirations to be the president of the country whenever it happened. So what C.K. Prahlad says is that Satyagraha as a strategy was brilliant, as it not only inspired people, but the law enforcers, which is the British at that point in time, did not know how to cope with this strategy. I want to pick up the iconic leader from Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh. Again, he was a key player who actually helped Vietnam secure independence right from the time that he repelled the French in the 40s and 50s to the time the Democratic Republic of Vietnam was set up. And then, of course, subsequently, the fight against South Vietnam and American allies. Again, if you look at some of the characteristics which exemplified or showed up in his leadership style, it was organization, leading a revolutionary movement over 40 years, keeping the strategic goals constant, but tactically showing lots of flexibility. He was a doer and not necessarily a theorist. He had to work with people. He had to get things done through large numbers of people in a situation where the environment was constantly changing. There were the French first, then there were the Chinese, there were the Soviets. He was able to manage all these relationships, keeping the communism and socialism right at the heart of it. But the key in all of this was really the nationalism, or the being the patriot, that he was able to get people together. A tremendous self-confidence, a firm conviction on the righteousness of the mission. And while many changes and compromises were made to tackle smaller issues, and in the short term, the long-range objectives were clearly sacrosanct. Let me move on to now a different arena, which is business and industry. And I'm talking about Ratan Tata, who holds the role of chairman emeritus of one of the largest groups in India, the Tata Group. I happen to work for 30 plus years in this group, and I have personally worked with Ratan Tata. So some of the things I say is based upon personal experience. Incidentally, 66% of the shareholding of the 150 plus year old Tata Group is actually held by a philanthropic entity, Tata Trust, where again, I've had the privilege of working, which means that 2/3 of the dividends that accrue to the group through the operations of the multiple companies that the group has, 2/3 of that dividend is actually used for philanthropy. This is over and above this individual companies doing corporate social responsibility, which is required to be done under Indian law. During the period, Ratan Tata was actually the working chairman of the group. Over 20 years, the group grew its profit 50 times and the revenue 40 times. And I'll talk about just two things which actually stand out in terms of the leadership style and in terms of the entrepreneurial mindset of Ratan Tata. In a period of around roughly 10 years, starting with around 2001, 2002, the Tata Group actually became international, not only because of the very large company of TCS, which has significant revenues coming from parts of the world other than India, but through the acquisition of many iconic brands, Tetley Tea, Jaguar Land Rover, Chorus Steel, which was the largest steel maker in Europe at that point in time, and even Daewoo trucks. This was quite unheard of in India at that point in time. And these are all done by many different companies. So it was not one company doing it, it was many different companies doing it. And of course, Ratan Tata played the role of driving it and getting people to be comfortable with that. He also pushed the case for a car called Tata Nano, which when it was launched was at an unbelievable price of $2,000 US with a fuel consumption of 23 kilometers per liter. And the whole logic was that there are a lot of two-wheelers in India which are quite unsafe. And obviously, during adverse weather, the people driving the two-wheeler suffer. He wanted to find a solution which would allow them to go for a four-wheeler and yet become something which is affordable. There are a lot of his quotes. I will not go into those, but just maybe look at a couple of them in terms of the highlight. He has said that he feels happiness actually comes from a strong sense of purpose, meaningful work, and deep relationships. And he's not referring to only individuals. He's actually referring to companies also here. He also says a life without zeal and excitement, ups and downs, is too dull and boring. So he's actually somebody who is always risk-taking and wanting to do different things and new things. Let me now look at Pham Nhat Vuong, the most prominent industrialist out of Vietnam. Clearly, a big believer again that Vietnam has to be first and that things which are done have to benefit generations to come. And all the companies actually promote the strong sense of nationalism and also innovation and technology. If you examine the transformative lab tool approach, this is quite unique because the whole approach here is to say, why should things, products and services in Vietnam not really match that of the developed world? So whether it be healthcare, education, electronics, agriculture, and now, of course, electric vehicles, where through VinFast, he wants to create a Vietnamese brand which can match the best in the world. And how's he done it? Not only through research and development, getting some of the top engineers and top minds back to Vietnam to work on them, also with great partnerships with some of the leaders like BMW and General Motors. Clearly, this leadership style has a very strong entrepreneurship angle to it, in addition to the whole bit around nationalism or wanting to do things for the country. If you had to put all this together for four icons in different areas, two of them in the political national leadership area of a different era, and business and entrepreneurial leadership of more recent times, you'll clearly see that some of the characteristics that I spoke about, traits I spoke about, all of them are by and large applicable. And all of them clearly indicate both transformational leadership and authentic leadership is a part of their ways of operation. Let me move to my last slide. That can leadership skills therefore be acquired? And that is clearly the question which will be there in the minds of the students. Can we end up becoming a Ratan Tata? Or can we end up becoming a Pham Nhat Vuong? And the answer to that is that yes, it's very possible. But one is to understand that there are some aspects of leadership which are part of innate qualities. The background you come from, the family you come from, some of the early exposure that you've had, that also has a significant impact. The other part is leadership skills cannot be learned sitting in a classroom. Leadership skills are best acquired when they are part of a practical, experiential program. Mentorship can play a very significant role in guiding a person to become a leader in his own right, his or her own right. There is clearly a very strong ethical and moral dimension to it. And a quick difference between managers and leaders, they differ in terms of motivation, personal history, and how they think and act. So let me end with another quote. A leader is best when people barely know he exists. When his work is done, his aim fulfilled, they will say, we did it ourselves. And this is what Lao Tzu had said. So to the students, you can be a leader too, And may I wish you all the very best for your success. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brahab Bani, for providing us a clear definition of leadership and also pointing out two types of leadership, which is the transformational and the authentic one. And I also really like the fact that you also back up your statement with specific cases of outstanding role models of leadership from both India and Vietnam. Once again, thank you very much for your sharings. And to continue our webinar today, I would like to invite Mr. Pranab Pani, Managing Director, Talendier Beyond Border Private Limited, to give a remark on effective strategy for launching and business operation.
Thank you very much again, and good afternoon to all of you young, bright minds, and my learned, my illustrious fellow speakers here. Namaskar again from India. Beautiful Vietnam, welcome to sharing of knowledge. You know, the problem happens is when you have two very illustrious, two distinguished, two highly accomplished gentlemen as your speaker preceding you, and then you follow them, you are under tremendous pressure. I'm equally under the pressure after listening to two distinguished gentlemen from India, the wonderful Dr. Kumar Mahanti and Dr. Prabhash Pani. Now, it happens also, you know, at the end, what happens is, you know, people will be waiting in the audience, like when it's going to be over and when it's a lunchtime, when are they going to eat lovely, delicious food? Don't worry, I'm not going to stand between your food and me. I'll just try to wrap it up as fast as possible because we started late with a lot of hiccups in between. But that happens. Life is always that way. Ladies and gentlemen, we live in a most exciting and best of times ever in terms of the potential we have to change the world with the help of technology. Yes, we are witnessing the birth of technologies that will fundamentally alter the way we live, work, and relate to one another. The scale, the scope, and the complexity of the transformation is unlikely to be like anything humankind has ever experienced. So it's pretty exciting thing when technology changes. We have a tremendous amount of industrial revolution. There are 3 industrial revolutions that we've already experienced. By the locomotives, electricity, and computer. These 3 have definitely impacted all our lives, changed the society, changed the world, as we have seen and experienced. But ladies and gentlemen, and young boys and girls, now a 4th industrial revolution is underway, wherein technologies are changing and conversing to blur lines between the physical, digital, and the biological spheres. Yes, the kind of technology that we are talking about is really impactful and changing the way, and compared to its previous industrial revolution, the 4th is evolving at an exponential rather than a linear pace. However, it is also disrupting almost every industry and every country. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this important thing is when you're talking about, next slide, please, effective strategies of launching and business operations. Next slide, please. Yep. You know, the basic thing, let's ask a question like, suppose I have to cook something in the kitchen. I have my guests waiting for it, and what are the dishes I need to prepare? What do we do? Just consider the basics, the fundamental issues, like you need to gather around all the ingredients for the kind of dish that you have in your mind to prepare for your guests waiting for you. So after collecting, gathering all that from different boxes and all, and keep it on the plate and start chopping it off or mixing it in the grinder and making paste and whatever is required, the spices and all that to put together to garnish it. You start preparing, and then you go through the process as it is required. It means, like, suppose you have to reach the top of a building. You just can't jump and reach the top just like that, like Spider-Man. You need to climb up step by step on the ladder, on the staircase. And that's how you plan. So in other words, you need to understand where you are, what you would like to do. Once you've decided on your idea, you need to understand, do lots and lots of market study and market research. Unless you understand the market that you are going to step into, it's going to be dicey, it's going to be challenging. So to make it foolproof, not that no one fails in between, you will be, you ought to be, you're bound to be. But then that should deter, because you're determined. The most important question you need to ask, like my previous speakers have spoken elaborately on the characteristics that is needed to be an entrepreneur, to be a leader. I'm not going to talk about that. They've already educated all of us very well. What I'm saying is, once you think you are a leader and you want to become an entrepreneur, ask these questions. The basic question, do I have not just the ability, but the aptitude? Because it is the attitude and aptitude that defines your fate, your personality, your goal, your objective, your success in life, or whatever you do. So you need to understand all the basic things. You need to have SWOT analysis of yourself first before you do that for the market that you're likely to penetrate in. You need to understand what is the gap between the demand and the supply. What are the pain points in that? What are the challenges people are facing? That's the difference. That's how an entrepreneur is differentiated from a mere businessman. Because an entrepreneur has the appetite for risk. He has a tremendous amount of risk-taking appetite. He has tremendous amount of self-confidence and self-beliefs. And he has the planning, plus he wants to use and utilize technology with innovative ideas. A problem which he has a solution for, a solution which is going to benefit the market, the society, the industry as a whole, the world too. So it is an integration of technology. And then, of course, for that, he needs to assemble a team. It's not that every time you're able to do everything yourself. It's not possible. To create something, to build up technology, a business empire, you need a team, a like-minded team with their skill sets appropriate for your business. And also you need to plan the budget. What is the capital expenditure and the operational expenditure you need to define very well before you kick off. Before the rubber hits the ground on the road and starts rolling, you need to have a roadmap for at least 3 years to maximum 5 years. Also, you need to have a plan B in case, by any chance, God forbid it, your plan fails in spite of having beautiful idea supported by market research and all that. It might even fail. So you need to be flexible with your idea, your plan. So you need to have a roadmap. But most important, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is to create a value. Please do not focus on valuation rather than value creation and addition. Value addition. What is the value addition that my solution is going to offer, my product, my solution, or my idea, or my services? This is how you could identify your USP, your unique selling points. That would help you in sustaining in the market with for a longer run, for a longer haul. You need to be a horse for a longer race, because that is when people will be willing to put their money on you. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Next slide. Thank you. Well, then when you do the basic research and the plan and all, and then you become an entrepreneur with your ideas, with your solution, with your team, with your technology, with your product, then you get into the market. Then you need to have a go-to-market strategy. It's very important to have a strategy in place before, like I said, you enter the market. And then you need to, before that, identify which category it falls in, whether it is a B2B, that is business to business, or a business to customer. Because that defines the market and the market demography. Market dynamics also you need to keep in mind, which is volatile many times. Now, when you do all that, and make a market go-to-market strategy, you'll have complete clarity. Like, yes, this is my product, and there are people with the target audience I have, and whether people are there willing to pay for my ideas, my product, my solution, my services. So you need to have a market fit strategy, understanding what is the total market size all about, and what is the market share that you can target at the beginning with different milestones to reach the pinnacle of success later. But most importantly is, like I said, there have to be people willing to pay for your ideas, for your product, for your services. So you need to have revenues. You need to have business traction. Traction is very important, ladies and gentlemen. All the young aspiring entrepreneurs, may I request that please start considering and focusing on that before you approach the market or before you look for funding and investment. So that part is very, very important. Next slide, please. Next slide. Can I have the next slide, please?
Yes, sir. There are some technical problems now. Can I have a moment to fix it? The slide will be back right now. Don't worry.
Yeah, I do have.
Oh, can you share the slide with us?
Yeah, I'm doing it. Is it visible?
Yes, I can see it now.
All right. Fair enough. So I was talking about the implementing the market and sales plan, which is vital to your success. You could be having a nice product, a beautiful idea. You could be having a very innovative product or solution or service. But then unless you know how to sell it, because production has this different kind of set of challenges. But the biggest challenge you face is when you walk into the market, the big bad market, the big bad world that you have, where you come across your competitors. It's not like you are the only person or you are the only product, offering to the market. There could be your competitor having, if not similar, could be relatively similar product or solution in the same region, in the same price range, possibly. So You need to compare. You need to do all these studies before you get into the market. And after that, what do? You focus on your customer. We all know, and we have been told time immemorial, that customer is the king or the queen. Yes, they are the ultimate decision maker. And we cannot override, we cannot impose our views, ideas, or products or solutions if it is not accepted or if it is not paid for by the target audience, that is our customer. But most importantly is to keep engaging with the customer. We must keep them engaged. Let us not sit idle. Let's not sit, happy and content on our laurels and appreciations, which could be deceptive many times. So we need to keep them engaged. We cannot take them for granted that yes, once he has come bought my product or used my services, that he's going to continue with me. No, there is no guarantee on that, ladies and gentlemen. So we need to be alert all the time, keeping our eyes and ears alert and open. So there are various ways of keeping these customers engaged, collecting their feedback, honest feedback, and acting on them one-to-one. That's very important. I mean, it's not like in a indifferent way, but to understand them and respectfully, address their concerns or accept their appreciations and work continuously, strive for excellence, try to improve your quality of product, try to improve the services, try to improve whatever you are offering and make it better all the day, all the time. There are some reward schemes because everyone wants to be appreciated, everyone wants to be rewarded. And every time people say, what do I get? What do I get if I've been your customer for so long, I've been eating your food, or I've been wearing your clothes, or I've been using your product, or I've been, using your services. But then, million other people could be doing the same thing. So how do I? It's very important to understand the human psychology. Everyone wants to be treated like a king or a queen. You cannot put them in a group, say, yeah, I've been trying to support, sir, all of you. No, it's not all of us. It's me. It's I. You need to pamper that me and I. So the customer experience at every touch point of your business is very important, is vital. Customer are the people who allow us to earn a living. Do not forget it. Without them, a product or solution or innovations, idea, technology, everything is a big zero. So that's important. But then there is technology, particularly for customer relationship and customer service. There is a set of technology which is prevalent, which is being extensively used the world over today. It's called UI and UX. That is user interface and user experience. Now, boys and girls and ladies and gentlemen, for example, whenever suppose we are using a mobile phone, automatically while typing anything, we keep getting suggestions, similar thought process, words keep cropping up. Then the UI and UX also does, browsing through the feedback of the people, the user pattern, the customer behavior, to understand and to try and influence their decision-making ability and power. This is the vital tool and operational possibility of facility to UI and UX, which is vital, which is very important. Ladies and gentlemen, to cut this story short, let me also say that you need to survive ventures. There are challenges. You've experienced plenty of challenges. So how many days does your venture have to leave? you have a limited money in your pocket. So you need to calculate at the beginning how much time it takes to consume all the money that I have in my pocket. You know, it's a bootstrapping. Bootstrap entrepreneurship, startup is important before getting into the market and extending your hands for financial help, for funding. Then, why am I doing this? That you need to ask this question all the time. Why am I doing this? Whether it's going to benefit me, reward me, and with more business, with more traction, with more customers. So what are the top 2 critical issues I need to identify? That's very, very important. You know, when you have a sea of issues surrounding you in your business, it's very important in order to stay focused, just identify the 2 most critical issues that will help you not just survive, but sustain in the longer run profitably. That's something very, very, very important. You know, entrepreneurs are key actors in business and production activities. Their sustained interest is closely associated with stability and development of the entire society. It's very important, ladies and gentlemen. Similarly, particularly the young boys and girls or the youth across the world dream, like Martin Luther King Jr. had famously said, "I have a dream." Yes, we all do have dreams while sleeping. No, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not talking about that dream. This should be a dream which shouldn't allow you to sleep. And that is important, to stay focused all the time, ladies and gentlemen. This is my book I was talking about at the beginning, called Road Signs, a bestseller, which is available across the world on Amazon online. I'm not too sure whether it's available in Vietnam, but it's in US, UK, Australia, Middle East, South Asia, everywhere it's available. Why I'm talking about that, not I'm promoting my book, but then young boys and girls, all the students in particular, this is something I would like to dedicate to you, because this is design I've written only for people like you, the youth of the world, the bright young minds, having, you know, always with the lots of ideas and aspirational thinking, aspirational leadership even you have. So this is a book dedicated to that, written completely on everything that you need from in your journey from your campus to the corporate. To become an entrepreneur, yes, everything is mentioned over there clearly, step by step, all the resources required, all the features required, all the knowledge required, it's all mentioned. You may probably pick it up if it's available anywhere online. But most importantly is over and above that, let's not forget about this planet. My humble request to all of you, young entrepreneurs, all the citizens of the world, all the beautiful Vietnamese people and the Indians, let us care for our planet. Let us care for our environment. Let us care for our, you know, the ecosystem. That's something very important. Otherwise, we are going to be doomed tomorrow. So you can create your ideas, which also should help alleviating poverty, alleviating hardship for people, and keeping the nature intact, grow bigger and faster. So thank you, Jill, very much, ladies and gentlemen, for your patient hearing. And I hope whatever we three have spoken today will add certain amount of value to you, will make you wiser tomorrow, will make you smarter tomorrow, more confident, and will flash a smile on your beautiful faces. So thank you so much, the Vietnamese University of Economics and Law students and the faculties, and the Honorable Indian Consulate General Office of Vietnam, and all the host members here present. Thank you so much. Namaskar.
Thank you, Mr. Pranab Prani, for having us know more about Bresa's strategies for beginning a business and insights into how to implement market and sales plan and also customer relationships and providing customer service. I'm sure these sharings will be very helpful for the students who wish to start a business later. So now may I invite all the speakers to turn on the camera because now is the Q&A section. Okay, so I have an announcement that currently all the students are watching the webinar live streaming from their university hall. So all of their names will not be seen in the webinar. So I have to assert that all the students are still listening us, but it's just that they are not be able to be present here in the webinar. So now in order to enhance the effectiveness of today's event, we shall move on to a discussion where you can raise questions and be answered. Everybody here, if you have any questions regarding to the topic of the event today, please feel free, raise your hand, and I will allow you to talk. Okay, if currently nobody wants to raise the questions, don't worry, just take your time to think and come up with other questions later. Now, I would like to ask the speaker 3 questions that I have received from the register form, which the student have sent us before. So for each question, I will invite one speaker to answer it. All right, let's begin with the first questions. This question is for Professor Kumar Mohanty. The questions is that nowadays, most of young people prefer to be a normal employee rather than become a leader due to the constant pressure of becoming a leader. Can you provide some benefits of becoming a leader and encourage the younger generation to take up this role?
Can you just rephrase the question? You're saying, can you just rephrase the question again?
Okay, can you provide some benefits of becoming a leader and encourage the younger generation to become a leader?
Okay, I think the concept of a leader per se has changed. I think as my co-panelists were speaking about also, gone are the days when we used to say a leader, and the leader would mean somebody who's a boss, somebody who whatever he says people would listen to. Uh, that is not what we are looking at as far as a leader is concerned today. I will repeat again, today's leader is somebody who leads by example. He has to show the team that this is how we can. He has to have a vision, he has to have a plan of action, and he has to have something which is, the goals that he talks about has to be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. Now, for all these, a leader of today, and for a successful leader today, you need to have a combination of certain values and certain attributes. You need to be somebody who should be able to motivate, inspire, believe in others and believe in yourself too. You should be a person who should be able to not just understand, but also execute. You should be a person who should be, in order to be a leader, have humility. And as one of my co-panelists also said, have empathy, to care for people, to talk about the fact that as a leader, I'm there for all the risks and I'm there to share success with you. As a leader, I should not take away success, but I should share. But as a leader, if there is anything to do with risk, I should be the first one to stand up and say, hey, let me take the risk and let me find out a solution. And as a leader, I should be a person who should have a vision, a plan, and more importantly, somebody who has to have a high amount of self confidence.
Thank you very much for your sharing. I'm sure the students will learn a lot from your answer. Thank you. And now moving on to the next questions. This question is for Mr. Prabhat Pani. So I
Sure.
will read, thank you. I will read the questions now. What are the important skills that university students must have to become a good leader in the future? And how can students practice leadership skill right now when they are still in universities?
Okay. So as I mentioned in the course of my presentation, all the leadership skills cannot actually be learned sitting in a classroom. A classroom would give you an exposure, maybe a understanding at the level of the head in terms of what is required. But unless you actually dirty your hands, you will never really be able to assimilate and understand what it means. So I would say one very critical requirement is learning through experience or experiential learning. And this can happen if in the course of being at the university, one, the university provides adequate opportunities for the students to participate. But as important, the student takes the initiative to actually go ahead and participate in those from the point of view of learning. In my institute, for example, all the MBA students that we have, they participate in something called AdMap. Small groups of people are there, about 20, 25 people working with different departments, with different activity areas. And even my center, the center that I'm involved with, the Center for Innovation and Sustainable Development. Now, what do they do? Last year, for example, the new batch has just come in, so we are yet to commence the work in this year. But if I were to look at what we did last year, we actually started the process of making the campus carbon neutral. So the students actually got involved in trying to do a benchmarking, to do a baseline study on exactly where we were in terms of the carbon emissions. They reached out to the accounts department, they reached out to people traveling by public transport, personal vehicles, to figure out how much of carbon was being emitted. They did a census of the number of trees that we have. There is a lake which is available in the campus. They looked at what is the possibilities. Now, it is through this learning that they have figured out not only some details about carbon emission, but they have now understood what it means to actually lead a campus. Because the leading will not be only among the students, they'll actually be leading the effort towards the faculty, towards the staff members. There are a couple of other colleges in the campus. Hopefully, they will also show them the way to do things. Similarly, there is another exercise that was done by them to, as part of this exercise, to put in nozzles into all the taps that we have in the campus. And that has led to, even conservatively, a 30% water saving. It is going to lead to a saving of 30 million liters of drinking water in 1 year. Again, it is not a question of only doing something. It is a way of actually showing other teams, other people, other groups, and influencing them in terms of changing their behavior. And that, I think, is a very significant part. And the last part, I would say, is really around mentoring. You need to find a mentor. It could be a senior. It could be a family member, a senior family, experienced family member. It could be a faculty. It could be a business contact that you have. I think there is a need to get mentored, to be able to bounce off ideas, to figure out why a course of action A may be better suited in a certain set of circumstances vis-a-vis action, another route B. I think it's a combination really of multiple things. So I would say participate in multiple activities, take small and big leadership roles of those activities that are happening, bounce off ideas, find a mentor. I think all of this cumulatively will actually help you gain the required essentials to be a leader in whichever area you choose to move into going forward.
Oh, thank you very much. I think the key point Mr. Prabhakani answer is that for all students who are still on campus, they should besides studying on campus, they should like engage in more activities, both in and outside the campus, in order to earn more experiences. Because as you said, like people learn from experience, and also is an advice to find a mentor who can guide you in the right path so that you can develop more in the future. Thank you for your sharing. And now coming to the final question. This question is for Mr. Pranab Pani. Okay, so in Vietnam, there's a problem that many young people have established a startup company, but it failed. So can you give young people some advice to run a successful startup company given a competitive market like today?
Yeah. First of all hi to all the young students who are watching on the big LCD in the Vietnamese university, which we say, wish we could see their lovely faces, but a big hello to all of them from India, from all three of us. Yes, I think the question which you asked me cannot be restricted to only Vietnam. It's something phenomena very common across the world, because we, the human beings, are called social animals. We are born free, like what Aristotle had said, man is born free, but in chains. And chains is not taken negatively. I would put it this way, yes, family. We are attached to them. Friends, family, society, our neighbors, our friends, our colleagues, all that. So that's a added responsibility for the entrepreneur, whether it's in Vietnam or India or any place in the world. We just should not ignore them. We cannot ignore and neglect them. But they are a support system. So while doing a business, if you can identify certain sectors, certain spaces within that which can fit in a family member, if possible, if have the right attitude, aptitude, and interest with ideas and willing to, soil the hands, roll up the shirt sleeves and soil the hands, dirty the hands on the field, then yes, you can join hands together, you can work together. That is the time the family will understand what exactly is happening. Many MNCs, particularly IT companies in India, have a practice of inviting family members of the executive or the employee on a specific date in a specific month to come and see where their father or their son or their husband or daughter or are working, in what kind of environment, what exactly are they doing. So they're allowed to stay for a full day to understand all that the employee has been doing. So that influenced the family also. It helps them understanding what exactly is happening in this world, what my son or my father or my daughter or my husband or wife are doing in the office. So that way, we need to support the family and family for them. The solution that we are talking about, like I said, if there is something called a social responsibility, a social entrepreneurship, other than over and above making profit, if we can address these problems of this society, of the world, that will benefit and will be more appreciated. We do have a social responsibility to give it back to the society. Like what my fellow speaker friend, Dr. Pravat Mani, was talking about, referring to certain personalities in the world, how they were trying to give it back to the society, like Mr. J.R.D. Tata or Mr. Ratan Tata, the iconic personalities of India, the global personalities, I would say today. They never neglected the family, and the family system, the family value system, if it is addressed properly, imbibed, supported, appreciated, and engaged with, will benefit all of us, will improve the society while we concentrate on focusing on doing our business all the time. I think that addresses the question. If it's okay. Did I address the question properly? I'm
Yes.
asking you, did, yeah.
Yes,
All
yes.
right.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. I'm sure that young people, they can apply your advice if they want to like run a startup company in the future. And now may I ask, any student want to make questions? Any students that are still in the webinar? Okay, I see Jin Zheng, can you open your mic?
Please ask her to unmute.
Hello everyone, can you hear me clearly?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, yes. Good afternoon, all the speaker. We are a group of students from Economics and Law University. And first of all, I want to say thank you for all your useful sharing. We are here from the beginning and we are enjoy that. And we have a question for Mr. Pranab Pani. The question is, everyone knows very well that starting up a business is not an easy work at all, because it requires a lot of knowledge, skill, and financial capability. So if I want to start my own business, but I don't have much money, don't have enough financial capability, which way do you think that we should do to call for fund capital raising? That is our question. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Tree. Wish we could see your beautiful face also. All right. Stay incognito, no problem. Thank you for this question. I think please permit even my other co-speakers, the learned speakers, the distinguished personalities also to answer, because this is a valid question which haunts many bright minds, bright young minds with beautiful ideas, but struggling without the money in the pocket. Yes, it's a big challenge always. You know, I mean, like ideas could sound beautiful, could look beautiful, and could have an acceptability in the market, in the designated market, with the target audience willing to pay for it. But then, how would you take it to the market if you do not have the kind of money required in the pocket? Well, there are two things. The basic is, of course, we cannot ignore, if at all you and I would like to be an entrepreneur, of course, we need to have certain amount of money, the seed capital, the bare minimum money in pocket. Otherwise, I think we need to keep waiting till the pocket pocket becomes a little warmer with a little money. Then we can try to translate our ideas in the market. We can take our ideas to the market. So that's my humble request, my honest admission also, that without money, it's difficult to be an entrepreneur. You know, the basic bare minimum seed capital is required. Whether you have it with you, you convince your family and borrow from them, or you are able to get somebody, your friend or someone in society, your colleague or friend or somebody who is willing to extend their helping hand and giving them money, kind of an angel investor, you know, at the beginning. That's a possibility. Second, there are institutions, there are organizations along with your, particularly angel investors. You have you need to identify what is the bare minimum money I require to translate my business into practice, to get it into the transfer into the market, to implement it in the market. Once it is identified, and if you can, you have to roam around. You have to take the trouble of talking to people and try and convince, say, why don't you put in your money, which is going to be safe if you trust me? Trust is the biggest factor in any sphere of business, in any line of business or anything in life. So if you can convince and borrow certain amount from them with a time limit, whether it is a debt or an equity, you can offer an equity share of your company, of your business. If it is planned already, registered a company, then you can offer that also. So you can raise bare minimum funds to manage the basics, whatever is required. And once you do that, the most important is you need to focus on traction, generating revenue, which will help you in sustaining and will help you not depending on the market, not, stretching your hand always for help. That's something very important. So two parts of this answer of this question is, one is without any money in the pocket, I think let's be an employee rather than an employer. You cannot, it will be difficult. It's a big challenge. Second, if you still insist on you are confident about and are determined, committed, then yes, you need to convince some people who are convinced with your ideas and willing to put money, whatever basic minimum is required. There are thousands of people across the world in every country, including Vietnam, I am aware of, who are there as angel investors, been supporting youngsters and all. So that way, I think you can start. That's my part of answer. I think if I address it properly, probably I would request my other learned speakers to pitch in.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Pranab. May I ask?
Can I just add on to this particular thing, which Mr. Pranab Pani just said? For students in particular, that there are, I mean, quite a few venture capitalists who will see some value in your plan. There could be an option of the incubation cells, and I'm sure even in Vietnam, you would have incubation cells which promote, and the government also, I'm sure, comes forward in promoting business plans, comes in to promote if they see a value in a particular project they do. Most governments do. A lot of government schemes, I'm sure, will be existing in Vietnam also. But third, and most importantly, many corporates, if you look at the multinationals, like, for example, a Schneider Electric, or if you look at even if you look at a Hewlett Packard, if you look at, I mean, the list can go on. Many corporates also, come forward and ask students for business plans. And at times, if the business plan is good, they are ready and they're more than willing to invest without looking at any returns coming out from it. So I guess corporates also is another area which most students can look to. It depends on what kind of a business you're planning to look at, which sector of the industry are you trying to look at. That's also something that is very, very important. So corporates is again an option which you can always fall back on.
Maybe one final addition, besides corporates, there are a lot of foundations who also support startup ideas, especially if it is solving a social issue. So the social entrepreneurship that Mr. Pranab Pani referred to, this is an area where there are a lot of international foundations who actually are supporting either at a very early phase while it is still an idea, or sometimes actually helping to take it to the next level in terms of providing financial and other forms of support, which will actually help the whole entrepreneurship journey move forward.
Thank you so much for all of your advice. I'm sure that all the students, they have learned a lot of things throughout this webinar, and they can practice your advice like just little by little, and so that they can improve their knowledge and probably nurture their dream of starting a business in the future. Yeah, so all the speech and the Q&A section was very productive. I wish that this section could last longer, but due to the limited time, I have to inform that the webinar is going to an end. We thank you, all of you, very much for joining this event, and we look forward for the such event to give you much information in this field. Thank you again, and please have a pleasant afternoon.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all. Hope you have a good afternoon, sir.
You too.
Thank you.